Welcome to The Abundance Journey, the show that helps spiritual entrepreneurs create an abundance mindset that accelerates revenue. Here's your host, the Abundance Ambassador, Elaine Starling.
So what would happen if that very part of you that you've relied on your entire life for your success suddenly went quiet? Well, today's guest is someone whose story is going to stop you in your tracks. And honestly, she's going to awaken something really deep within you. Welcome back to the Abundance Journey, where abundance is a way of being. I'm your host, Elaine Starling, the Abundance Ambassador. And today's episode, truly, it's going to open you up in ways you just never even imagined were possible for you. Martine Cohen was a high-powered corporate attorney with a brilliant mind and an ironclad work ethic. On paper, she had it all, but beneath the surface, disconnection, exhaustion, and an ache she just couldn't really explain. And then everything changed. A traumatic brain injury in 2016 silenced her thoughts and awakened her soul. In the absence of her intellect, Martine discovered something far more powerful: her true self. Well, since then, she's devoted her life to helping others peel back the layers of fear, perfectionism, and self-doubt through her transformational process, No More Layers. She's also the author of the best-selling and award-winning book by the exact same name, No More Layers. Make sure you get a copy because I'm going to read it. This is where Martine guides readers to reclaim their inner power and live from authentic freedom from the inside out. If you've ever wondered, who am I without the doing? This conversation is your invitation home. Martine, welcome to the Abundance Journey. I'm so glad you could join me today.
Hi, Elaine. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you for having me.
Oh, this is going to be such a blast. Your energy is amazing. I love the feel of you. Just when you logged in from the beginning, it's like, man, this is, I call it juicy. When it feels really good and you just want to luxuriate in something, it's really juicy.
Absolutely.
And it's important to me that we connect our energy, yours, mine, with the entire audience, along with the God of your understanding, because together we're extemporaneously having a conversation. And yet we can guide where we want the energy to go with the help of what I call the divine. And we can create a truly transformational experience together. So there's two different things we're going to do to make that happen, to connect our energy and create this transformation for everyone. First, we're going to connect our energy by taking 3 long, slow, deep breaths together. And as we breathe in through the nose, we're going to think the words, I am. And as we breathe out through the mouth, think the word consciousness. I'll remind you just when we get to that point. Then I'm going to share an intention. I always point at my chest, at my heart when I say intention. And we're going to hold that intention in silence for 78 seconds, because that gives the divine, the God of your understanding, enough time to lock in on the vibration that we are holding with that intention. Now, 2 things I've found really help me last for 78 seconds, because it's easy to get distracted and have your mind wander. What I like to do is I'll pick 2 or 3 words out of the intention that just feel uplifting and expansive and joyful. And I'll repeat those words over and over again to myself in my mind. And then I notice what's happening with my body, because I often get goosebumps or a ripple of heat up my back, or an image will suddenly drop in. And anything like that is just a sign that the divine is locked into that higher vibration and they're ready to play with us. So, shall we get going?
Absolutely. I love this.
Awesome. Okay, let's take our 3 long, slow, deep breaths together. Breathe in, I am. Breathe out, consciousness. Breathe in, I am. Breathe out consciousness. Breathe in, I am. Breathe out consciousness. In love and light, we are so happy and grateful that we gently release layers of fear, conditioning, and false identity, returning to the brilliance of our authentic self, guided by intuition, so we remember our innate wholeness, reclaim our inner power, and live in freedom, connection, and deep self love. Thank you, Divine. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It is done.
So it is. So beautiful.
We give thanks, and so it is. Wow, that was awesome.
So powerful. I have goosebumps and I'm cold. And that's when energy shifts. I always get super cold. So I know it worked. Thank you for that. That was
Amazing. I felt this inner sun, and it was one of these suns that has a big smile on its face. And I was really focusing on that deep self-love. And it's not an egotistical, oh, I'm all that. No, it's a self-understanding, a self-acceptance, a self-regard, noticing your strengths and your contribution. And even when nobody else does, but you're stepping into your own greatness, and that radiates out with so much light. That was just amazing. Thank you so much for bringing that
awesome. But you just said something that resonated with me when you said it's not like selfish and it's not egotistical. And I think that there are a lot of people out there that worry about that, right? Self-love means I'm selfish, right? No, it's being selfless. It means that we embrace all of who we are, and then we start from there. And often we don't. And that's part of layers, and that's part of what I talk about, is that we don't embrace all of who we are. We don't take a time to acknowledge ourselves and say, I'm actually good at this, not from an ego place, but from a place of gratitude, from a place of divine connection, of saying, this is my strength. This lets me know that I should be going in this direction, and I can use my strength to help myself in another area, and I can place my attention on another area that needs me and my strength and help. And so it becomes so far removed from the ego and more into just the celebrating the self, embracing the self, and then showing up in that way to others in the world. Imagine how positive and powerful that is, and how uplifting it is to others as well.
Oh, amazing. Amazing. Now, you've got a pretty unique story. Could you tell us a little bit about how you got here from there? Because, wow.
I will 100%. I will preface that by just saying that when the universe wants you to do something, if you don't listen or you kind of push that voice aside, it will literally hit you over the head. So I wish that on no one, because that's what happened to me. In 2016, I was just running an errand, just doing my thing, and I was in a serious car crash where there's a car that just rammed into me. I was told afterwards a person was on their phone. Anyways, I didn't even see it happening, and I only knew that I had been in a serious accident after I came to. So I lost consciousness for a while, and I can't even tell you how long, because the paramedics were already sort of on top of me, talking to me when I came to. No idea. And as I came to, I heard myself saying, it was like a tail end of a conversation. And keep in mind, this is an attorney by profession who's experiencing this. So very type A originally, right? And so thank you, God, for saving my life. And that's a line that sort of was with me and helped me and led me and supported me the entire time, because I knew somewhere, no matter how dark the journey was, there was an ultimate purpose for this. It wasn't just random. First of all, random doesn't really exist. There's always a hidden meaning and purpose, right? I love that, because we're like-minded. Second of all, we just don't always see it. So we give up and we relinquish our power to a situation rather than sort of reeling it back into ourselves, right? Especially in hard situations, we often disconnect so as to numb and not feel. But when we disconnect from everything. There's no partial disconnection. So we miss out on our own power that could actually help elevate us back up. So we just want to keep that in mind. And that sentence helped me stay connected, because I knew somewhere there was a purpose. I knew I was meant to die and I didn't. So I was like, okay, whoa. I lost the use of my brain for quite a while. That means that I have post-concussive syndrome, which means I couldn't understand a sentence when it was put together. I understood words separately, but not together. It was very frightening. Again, corporate attorney, love strategy, big business deals, and all of a sudden, my son is talking to me about hockey, and by the end of the sentence, I don't know what he said. So, but I'm aware that I don't know what he said. So, number one question, my brain's not functional. I know that. I no longer have thoughts in the same way that we do, that incessant mind chatter. So that's kind of fun, but I don't have the rest of it either. But I do have this awareness, and I'm like, what is that about? How do I know that my brain is not functional? Because my brain's not functional. How do I know that I'm feeling all this darkness and fear, but I'm not stopping to feel it? I'm not afraid to feel the fear. We are most afraid of fear. That is our biggest fear, is to feel fear. We will do everything to avoid feeling uncomfortable, to avoid feeling pain, to avoid feeling fear, let alone what it is that we're afraid of. Right? So I didn't have that. So I felt very intense feelings and emotions, because my brain wasn't there to tell me a story about what I should be feeling, what it means when I'm feeling this, what I should be feeling instead, none of that. It was just what is. So I was being for a moment, and I was being very human, right? Because I was feeling all my feelings. I wasn't afraid of them. I couldn't process the world around me, but I was aware of all that. And that's what made me start seeking, what is this awareness? And am I going to be like this for the rest of my life? And what is this fear that I'm feeling? What is all this darkness that I feel enveloped by? So I went inward, because I didn't know what else to do. And I discovered this entire inner landscape. I call it full of like gunk and weeds, but it's really layers. Layers are things from childhood, when we didn't have, possibility of being able to filter the world around us, and we had perceived and understood things in a way that was all encompassing, and it stays with us into adulthood unless we do something about it. So for me, I realized I had perfectionism, and I had certain mental constructs and identities and things that I should be doing and not doing, and what it means to do this, and sort of all this kind of like very elaborate sort of like framework that my brain had created for me to keep me so-called safe, right? But it also means you're kind of like a little bit imprisoned, right? But
Yep.
no, right? It's like very imprisoned, like for anybody who's a perfectionist on your show, it's like, it's really not growth oriented and expansion sort of focused. But nevertheless, that's what I found. And then I started working through them, because again, I had no judgment around them. And that's key. We judge ourselves, our feelings, our thoughts, our emotions all day long. We judge them, we criticize them, but we don't question them to see whether they're aligned, whether this is what we would want if we thought we could choose, and whether they're really a reflection of what you would like it to be for yourself, and whether you even believe them. I'm not good enough.
That's so good.
Right? But it's like, do you actually believe that? Do you want to be thinking these things?
Yeah.
Because if you don't, just reframe those thoughts and ask your brain to generate the kind of, or the quality, or the, sort of the type of thought that you want, the category. You can reframe it, just like junk mail. I like to call it that. It's like, this is not addressed to me. No, thank you. I don't want this anymore. And you navigate from there. So I learned all of this just from sticking it out and staying on this journey, which was so scary because I didn't know who I was anymore. Until one day I started to feel myself again, but my brain was still not functional. So I was like, oh my goodness, I'm actually not my brain. And I actually thought I was my brain, but I am so much more. We are so much more than just that mental construct and identity, whether you're a mom, a wife, a this or that, whatever. All the hats that you wear are just hats you wear, but they're not who you are. Because of who you are, you might wear those hats.
Yeah. I love
But they
this.
don't define you. And I learned that
Right.
I am me, but nothing else defines me. Therefore, I can choose. And that was so liberating. I can't tell you, Elaine, how liberating that was, how freeing that
Yeah.
was, and how more solid I felt after that, and so much more grounded.
I bet. I
So
bet.
my
You
story is a
know,
little bit outside the box,
uh,
but I realized with that I remember that initial sentence of "Thank you, God, for saving my life." And this was not just for me. This was not just for me to free myself. This is for more than that. And I pivoted slowly into, no, I need to give back to the world, because this was the blessing of a dysfunctional brain, and this was some sort of gift, albeit like a hard one to swallow, but it was a gift. And I believe that in every hardship there is a gift if you stick around long enough to go seek out what it is.
absolutely. It's really interesting that you share all of this because I so agree with everything you're saying. I can't wait to get my hands on your book because, I just, I want to like do the Spock mind meld with you at this point. This is just so good. Yeah, it's really interesting. I was blessed on New Year's Day 2005 to have a stroke. And I always say blessed because during my stroke, I got to have a conversation with my higher power. I got a complete download about how everything works,
Right.
why we are alive, what we can do to live our best life, and what happens next after this life. It's a graduation, it's not an ending, no big deal. And one of the messages that came through is the divine really wants us to do three key things. The first thing is be love in this moment, in every moment. Be love for others and be love for yourself. And that's the part that we struggle with the most, is being love for ourselves. The second thing is notice the love that's already present here. And it's not like it's easy. We're turning it into a scavenger hunt. You're expected to kind of dig under the bushes and really think about it. Ask yourself probing questions to understand how this moment is actually a blessing for you, because it's not obvious.
No,
And the third thing is get together with other people, because every time you do, you create opportunities for even more love. So I love what you're talking about. I love where you're going with this, because yeah, every single moment, even hardship, is designed to be a blessing for you. Now, I ask one question of every single guest, and I've never had the same answer twice, which I absolutely love because it's kind of built into the question. Given the work that you do and the people you work with, how do you define abundance?
So abundance is an absolute embracement of all that you are and all that you can be. It's an openness of mind to go out and explore, right? I call it in my book, the adventure mindset. And the adventure mindset leaves you to go seek out those treasures, that abundance. But first and foremost, it's a recognition that it lives within you. It resides within you, and it's for us to discover. And then it's for us to reclaim. Just that we are love, we are also abundance. We are also, there is a field of all possibilities, and we just have to take that step and path. And I say boldly because it takes courage, because our brain will hold us back. It's very fear-based. So have the courage, which means you don't have to get rid of the fear before you take that first step. You just bring it along for the ride. Just make sure it's not in your driver's seat. I say put it in the trunk, right? Because it's going to be, you're not going to spend your entire life trying to get over fears. You're just going to bring them along and say, I acknowledge you. Thank you for being here, but I'm good now. I don't need you, but you know what? I have other things to do, so I'll bring you along, but you're not in the VIP section, And I find that helps a lot. That also helps my clients to sort of focus and move away from the fear and into what I like to call the curiosity, the curious mindset. It's a wonderful brain hack that in the moment that you're afraid, if you switch that and turn that into curiosity, your brain forgets to be fearful in that moment and starts asking questions. So it's interested. That's very, very helpful in getting over those fears and recognizing abundance. Now, the other thing I want to say about abundance is that some people's fear is around just that. Do I have the circuitry to be able to house, a certain intensity and level of abundance? That's not for me. That's for somebody else. I'm going to stay small. So that is not true. We all have abundance in us, and we are made out of abundance, right? It's divine abundance.
Yeah.
It's a fear based from the brain that, again, wants to keep you safe. So you turn that into adventure,
Yeah.
right? You turn that into excitement. You turn that fear into excitement. All of a sudden, when you're excited or you feel adventurous, you're not worried about going out and sort of seeking out more abundance, and you will be able to house it, because you just want to make sure you take on the abundance one step at a time, and you don't compare yourself to anybody else. It's your own abundance in your own way, your own understanding of it, and just, integrate it. Take the time. It's okay to go at our own pace. That's our given right. And, in 2025, it's insane. It is not human. It's really not a human scale. So take the noise out of the way, and just focus inward and just go intuitively with what is right for you, and give ourselves permission to do that.
It's so interesting because a lot of people say, well, I don't feel like I get divine guidance. I don't feel like stuff is coming through for me. And I noticed that words have incredible power. I just want to share a quick story with you, because during my stroke, I have never experienced that kind of unconditional love in my life. I mean, every atom, every molecule of your body saturated with love, deep appreciation and gratitude for you being who you are. And I came out of my stroke with absolutely no damage. I'm like, wow, I want more of that. On tap would be great. I'll take that all the time. How do I get that? And so I did all this research. I read all these books, did a bunch of courses, and everything said, you just have to allow. You just have to open your heart and allow the messages in, allow yourself to receive. And I got to tell you, I was allowing my little heart out, Martine. And every once in a while, I'd get a download and it felt really great. But it was a lot closer to a leaky watering can than Niagara Falls, right? And that's what I wanted, was this intense, constant barrage of love. And so finally, I'd done my meditation. I'm sitting down to ask for guidance. And in my journal, I'm in a bit of a mood. And I write, why isn't this allowing thing working for me? And immediately I got the message back. What is the image that comes to mind when you think of the word allow? Now, no two people have the same relationship with words, so not putting anything on you. This is my experience. And I immediately saw myself behind a door with a chain on the door, and I'm peeking out the door at the divine, and I'm freaking terrified because I don't want to screw up. I don't want to make a mistake. I don't know how this works. I don't know what to expect. And suddenly I thought, oh, well, for me, the word allow is more of a mind-based word. And my mind loves systems and processes. A nice orderly if this, then that with a guarantee at the end would be perfect to my mind. And that's not really the kind of relationship I can have with the divine. So I realized I wanted a heart-based word, something that would really open me to receive effortlessly, joyously, just be in flow with the divine. And it took me a while to figure it out, but I finally realized that my word is welcome.
Lovely.
You can feel the energetic difference, right? You can feel the difference between allow, if I'm in the mood, if you treat me right, yeah, maybe, or welcome. And there's no stipulations on welcome. It's just welcome.
And and there's no fear either, because it doesn't engage the brain.
Right.
And so that's what it's about. But it's about getting out of our own way. We are so much in our way that we don't even realize it. And our brain tries to control. So the more there's unknown, or the more there's a question, the more there's frustration, and the more it's like, okay, so I need to allow. How does this work? And I have clients like that. And they're like, I don't understand. And I'm like, yes, you're not going to understand. It's the wrong organ that you're trying to use in order to, use the heart. So it's like, keep your mind busy with something else. And that's what we do so much so in sessions is I keep their brain busy with other things. And so there's never that internal resistance that pops up or any triggers. And I go straight for like the soul and the heart and all the other things. And that's why they feel a shift from day one. But what you did is fantastic, because for me, words are like my paintbrush, and
Yes.
I use words, and I wrote that in the book like that. The way that people write music, I could feel the harmony of the words together, and there's a
Yeah.
flow of beauty. Like, for me, it's the most creative thing. I've always loved words. And so words have energy. And
Yeah.
if you look at the Bible, the world was created through God speaking, right? So words are so powerful. They are the way that we manifest. They're also, by the way we communicate with ourselves. Your thoughts are silent words. So you want to watch your thoughts, because that's how you speak to yourself. There's energy that you keep infusing within you at every moment of the day, because, God bless our brains, but they're never quiet. And even in your dreams, they're not quiet, right? Even when you want it to be. Correct. So this way to sort of get out of the way and to calm. I sometimes, talk my brain off the ledge, and I'm like, we're good. Like, it's fine, because I'm not my brain. Because there's that energetic distance between the two, I understand how my brain works. By the way, healing my brain, which I did energetically in the end, this is why I'm fine today, makes it that I have such an intricate understanding of the way the brain works and all of its sort of like idiosyncrasies, and it's very finicky and sort of like doesn't like anything that's out of its control. But you can get your brain to defer to your higher self when it sees that, like, oh, you've really got this. So we don't need to buy into our brain's fears. We just need to recognize them and say, well, do I want this fear in my life? Do I agree with it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's really interesting what you were talking about with words and the power of words. I also was stunned to find out that about 90% of our minds, our brain, is used in some way, shape, or form to interpret sight.
Yes.
And when we read a paragraph, our brain is busy trying to make images out of the words. And that was one of the things that was so powerful for me to discover. What was the image that came to mind when I thought of the word allow? And so now when I'm working with my clients, I get them to, okay, what are you saying? And what is the image that comes to mind as you say that? Is that in alignment with your intention in your heart and what you're really, truly trying to create? Because your attention, your focus, is clearly not in alignment with your intention. And so then we get to change the image and change the words associated with that image, and everything shifts. Now, you have worked with so many people, Martine, and brilliantly. I'm sure that you've noticed a few kind of common symptoms that people have that show they're ready for your help. What have you noticed?
So it's so interesting, because people come to me, and they come to me with whatever, and I call this the little like opening in the window, and I'll like sort of that just little open window. They'll come to me with they're dissatisfied about something at work, or they're dissatisfied in their relationship, or they don't feel the way they thought they would once they got to a certain point in their life. By the way, it's never about any of those things. But for me, it's like, okay, that's my little opening to go in where there's no resistance for that, because they've identified. So really, discomfort is the opening of a door to more growth, to rediscovering yourself. So when people are uncomfortable, I'm like, yes, that's fantastic. Come work with me now. Not funny.
Yeah, but in a good way. In a good way.
I don't understand. They're like, what? I'm like, no. You don't understand. You're in the best place ever, because you're uncomfortable enough that you're aware of it. Your brain has given up on trying to sort of mask it, deny it for you, keep it in your subconscious. As once there is something ever so slightly above surface level, that's the opening, and that's the way we start. And it's never about what the problem is. And very quickly they realize, oh, that's not the issue. I'm like, no, that's the symptom. But we don't treat the symptom here. We don't give Band-Aids. We treat the root cause. Because when you treat the root cause, everything else falls to the wayside. I call in my book like the primary layers. So there are primary layers and derivative layers. So when you deal with the primary one, all the derivative layers get taken care of, which means when you deal with the source, you have to deal with every single situation. That's an expression of that. You dealt with that, you've gotten rid of everything. And it's a great shift. My clients love it because they feel re-empowered, because honestly, what we do is we disempower ourselves 100 times a day by saying, this is not my fault. It's because of this. It's because of my work. It's because of my boss. It's because of my husband. It's because of my child. It's like, no, what if it was because of you? Because I teach a lot about self-leadership. Right. And I also work with a lot of like CEOs and professionals as well as individuals. And it's like, before you can lead others, make sure you're leading you and it's not a layer of you that's leading you. It's not fear that's leading you. It's not a trigger that's leading you. Make sure you're proactive rather than reactive. There's so much more power in that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, it's really ironic, Martine. One of the things that I've noticed whenever I want my external world to change, it's a real bummer because something has to change inside me first.
No, but it's not even a bummer. That's the only thing that's in control. You have control.
Yes, absolutely.
A good thing. So the funniest thing is I have so many clients coming to me with relationship issues. We never talk to the person that they're having an issue with. We change the inner landscape, and all of a sudden people show up to them differently because they're showing up differently with, sort of like whatever needs to be healed is healed. Their expectations are completely sort of like we get rid of them because expectations are just a brain construct and imagination of what needs to be, and it's not based in anything real. And because of they're showing up differently, people respond. If people respond to you, so if you want people to respect you, have self-respect. Right? If you want people to love you, deal with yourself with self-love and compassion. It's what we exude is what is reflected back to us. So I had a client in particular where they had huge issues with their family members, and they was always expected to do everything, even though that was the busiest person in the family, for example. And when we healed that within them, what ended up happening was all of a sudden they showed up to a family conversation and they were able to put up a boundary without even thinking about it. So it wasn't even intentional that way, but it had been so integrated in them. And they're like, oh, I just split up the tasks and everybody's doing something. And it was the first time in 20 years.
Wow.
And we never spoke to any of their other family members to say, hey, you know what? Like, this is not fair. What? Never. So the beauty of this, and it's so powerful work, and this is why I love what you just said, that when you want to change anything external, go see the connected internal part. Like the pressure point, like in massage therapy, go see where that's from because it's always internal. And the great news about that is that you can always do something about your internal.
Yes, absolutely. Now, I would love to have your help getting us going in the right direction. Are there one or two little baby steps we could take that would get us going towards this self-healing, this self-love?
Yes. So one of the things that a lot of my clients, so I'm thinking a lot of your audience may come up against, is simply fear of going inward, fear of what I'm going to find, fear of like rocking the boat, fear of like all the so-called skeletons in my closet, which we have none. Don't worry. No matter what you've done, you have skeletons. They're not there. I promise. So there's a lot of fear around change, and sometimes a lot of fear around exploration. So when you feel fear, and some people actually feel anxiety, physical symptoms, right? So when you feel fear, you can do that in the moment of it. You can do it afterwards. It's just as powerful. Sometimes it's hard to catch yourself in the act of something. And so it's okay. Be kind to yourself about that. Take a few deep breaths to ground yourself. It's kind of like what we did at the beginning, right? Because when you ground yourself, you get sort of like this neutral sort of canvas, right? So you ground yourself, whatever works for you, but breathing is great because it really resets your nervous system. And then you're going to ask yourself, what is this fear trying to tell me? There's always a message in the fear. And if you're busy trying to find the message, you're moving away from actually resisting feeling the fear. So It's a great brain hack. I love brain hacks. I have tons of them. The next thing is to question the fear. Do I agree? Once you realize what it is, do I agree with the fear? Do I want this fear in my life? But for this fear, what would I do instead? What would I think instead? What would I feel instead? Because it's always in response to something external, right? A thought, a feeling, or an external situation. So, but for this fear, how would I feel? And then the one that I love the most is now you get to choose.
Yeah.
So now that I know the message, now that I've had that conversation myself, whether or not I know whether I agree with the fear, I know what I would do if I didn't have this fear. Now I get to choose my next thought about it, my next feeling about it, my next action. And it works very well. And it takes maybe, a minute and a half.
Beautiful.
It really is super helpful, I find.
Absolutely. That is fabulous.
Yeah.
Martine, this is so good. This is so amazing. And yes, I'm definitely getting your book, but you also very generously offered the audience a free gift. Could you tell us a little bit about it?
Absolutely. So they can just go on my website, martinecohen.com. It's super easy. And just on the front of it, they're going to see that there's a free gift. They can just sign up for it. And it's sort of like a 2-day challenge or sort of intro to how to quieten your thoughts and how to understand where your thoughts come from and what they're about and what you can do with them. So you can reframe it and you can be like, get some peace of mind at 3 o'clock in the morning when your mind is racing. So it's like with video and it has audio and it has like little exercise that you can do. And it's just 2 days. So it's short and sweet, but it really helps you understand what all that's about, how to reframe your inner dialogue, for success, and how to be more aware of your thoughts as they come in and sort of place attention on your intention.
Wow, I love it. I can't wait to get a hold of it. That sounds amazing. Now, one of the things we love to do here at the Abundance Journey, we always turn the tables on our guests because we know that when we give is when we truly receive the most. So what can we do to support you?
I love that. So my book is out on Amazon, and I would love, your audience to get a copy and write a review. And they can also reach out to me for one-on-one or for workshops or whatnot, because I find that as I help people, it helps us too. In other words, it's like a beautiful, adding positivity to the world, especially in the world we live in today where there's so much anxiety and so much, oversaturation of the brain. I'd love to help out your audience. So if any of them want to reach out and we can start working together and really help them on their abundance journey to a life of freedom and no more layers.
I love that. Beautiful. And of course, remember, our energy is now permanently connected, not just for this lifetime, but for all lifetimes. And Martine is a powerhouse. Her energy is palpable. So if you're having a tough time or you're struggling in any way, shape, or form, just think of Martine. Think of me. Your energy is a part of our energy now. And we got you.
That's so good.
Martine, that was amazing. I want to keep you here all day. It was so good.
It was so much fun. And I loved being on the podcast and connecting with you in this way and sort of, helping out the audience as well. I loved it. It was such a pleasure.
Thank you. Well, this is amazing. I will definitely have to have you back again soon. Meanwhile, everybody else stick around because we're going to activate abundance in just a minute. Martine freaking rocks. This lady's amazing. I love her energy. I love her insights. She spoke really fast. I was writing the whole time she's talking, trying to get down everything because it was so good. Man, I really struggle to figure out which one thing. Can I only pick one? I hate it that I only get one. Step one is always gratitude. I have immense gratitude for all of Martine's contributions. She's amazing. And I can't wait to read her book and definitely get her free gift because, top of the charts here. So second thing is to acknowledge something you heard that was a bit of an aha for you. And I loved where she kind of called me on my stuff because I was like, I was saying, I was talking about how when I want something on the outside world to change, something has to change inside me, and oh, darn it. And she called me on it. She's like, no. That means you have control. Because you don't control the stuff that's outside you. You only control the stuff that's inside you. And I'm like, oh, what a reframe. Sometimes we just need somebody to smack us upside the head and go, yeah, you're looking at this backwards. And she really nailed me on that one. That was awesome. So appreciate that. So step 3 is appreciate the difference it can make in your life. Well, all of a sudden, when I notice resistance, I can immediately go, oh, there's something inside me that is resisting this. This is not an external thing causing my resistance. It is an internal story that I haven't let go of yet that allows me to pretend there is resistance here. So then I have the opportunity to dig deeper and figure out what's really going on here. So all of a sudden, this is my superpower now. I've always talked about the superpower of choice, right? You do have a superpower of choice, and it's a choice in how you choose to look at things and what you choose to do about it. And boy, Martine just called me on it. She's like, yeah, no pointing fingers outside, pretending that it's an external circumstance that's causing this. There's something inside you that's causing this, something that you're ready to release. That's why you noticed it. So congratulations, you're ready to grow. Oh, love that reframe. That was so brilliant. So step 4 is to activate abundance. This is where we take something that's a concept and turn it into tangible physical reality. And I've found 3 ways to do that. First way, schedule time to get it done. And I count journaling here because so often there's so much going through my mind. I'm not even all that aware of my thoughts until I write them down. Because once it's on paper, I can step back and get a more objective perspective on what's going on. And I can explore what is the hidden fear that's going on beneath these thoughts. And does that fear truly align with my intention, who I choose to be, higher consciousness Elaine? Or am I pretending that there's something wrong here when there's never anything wrong? It's always a blessing. Okay, that gives me the superpower of choice, right? So what an incredible thing to be able to journal and get that objective perspective on what's going on in my mind. The second way to activate abundance is with a physical trigger, like crossing your fingers or tugging on your earlobe as a reminder, okay, if I feel resistance in this situation, that's a time to go inside and notice what's happening, notice the story, notice the fear, and make a choice of how I choose to respond. Do I choose to respond from a place of fear, which has very little power and doesn't do anything for me? Or do I choose to respond from a place of love and grateful curiosity? Because I don't know what's here yet. All I'm doing is being open to receive the blessing, and grateful curiosity allows me to step into that space. The third way to activate abundance is to work with what I call an abundance buddy. Most people call them accountability buddies, but hey, I'm about abundance. So it's an abundance buddy. This is somebody who loves you, who gets you, and you make a declaration. Like you tell them, hey, I'm not going to make excuses anymore. I'm not going to point outside and say it's because of that, it's because of this person, it's because of that situation. Every time I start to do that, would you please call me on that? Because I know that that's a sign there's something inside me that's ready to shift. And that's a powerful pivot point. But I might miss it because I'm caught in my old patterns, my old behaviors. So please help me notice when I'm not doing that, when I'm not stepping into the fullness of who I truly am. And this is someone who loves you and adores you. And the thing that's so interesting about this is the more we make it visible to ourselves and for others, the more everybody steps in, because everybody wants to play this game, because it's such a powerful place to be from, right? This standing in higher consciousness is like the ultimate power. You have so much control and you're just showered with blessings. So, why not? Step 5, celebrate your progress. Isn't this amazing? I mean, we just learned from Martine how to turn every moment into a blessing. Every single moment. Are you blessed or what? Yeah, you are. And you're a massive blessing. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'll see you next time for the Abundance Journey.
You've been listening to the Abundance Journey Show with Elaine Starling. Visit theabundancejourney.com/podcast gifts to access today's gift, as well as gifts from our other guests. Tune in every week to activate abundance in your life and business. If something resonated with you, please share it with your friends so they can benefit too. Keep activating abundance, and we'll see you in the next episode.